As a kid, I have an older sister. Bro, she used to paint my nails.
So
we don't really have to pull it up, do we?
I mean,
let's
pull it up just in case you have questions. But I mean, this really not even the name of the bill. It's not. It's just that's how fucking media. Okay, so the bill essentially, and this is based on my understanding, so I could be wrong. Or do you have more details than I do?
Isn't it called the motherfucking Parental Rights in Education?
Right,
that's what it's called. Yeah.
Right. But this fucking mic is pissing me off.
Stop touching it.
Because the fucking thing keeps.
You remind me of Daniel right now.
The thing keeps falling, bro. But I'm just gonna hold the fucking thing. What was I about to say?
That's what she said.
I mean, I'm gonna stop. Fuck, I forgot my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh, that's not the name of the bill, and it's just the name the media uses because the actual bill is about restricting what age? I think it was the kindergarten.
So they've said they're not going to talk about it from kindergarten to grade 3 and prohibiting it from anything.
So it's just
from
sex
there
in general,
until,
or like the trans
until they're of
terms,
age.
or like being gay and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But all these people are like, I don't like saying all these people because I honestly don't know who the fuck these people are. Because I feel like the majority and common sense people are like, I see nothing wrong with this bill.
Okay.
Right? It's like, because none of us have kids, knowingly. But imagine you have a kid. Like, do you honestly want your teacher, your kindergarten teacher teaching your kids about trans and like being gay and like,
see, that's the
kid,
thing.
I honestly feel like your kid, and again, I'm not saying they can't be. If they grow up to be trans, like, cool. But like, that should not be your kid's concern.
That shouldn't be. See, that's the thing.
That early in life.
When you put that in there, that was my thing. Mm-hmm. I didn't know about all these sexual orientations until probably high school.
As it should be, or even like 8th grade, like, you know what I'm saying, before high, like, cool. But I should not be in kindergarten learning colors and fucking what a trans person is.
Come on. Thank you.
Colors and shapes and
two different things.
That makes no sense, bro.
And it kind of just fucks with you. It fucks up your mentality overall. Like, I'm not going to you. And I'm gonna keep it a buck. You hear me? I'm gonna keep it a buck. As a kid, I have an older sister. Bro, she used to paint my nails. Mm-hmm. I used to put her wig on and walk with heels on. Bro, we're having a good time.
I put my mom's bra on as a kid because I think nothing of it. It's not like, I'm trans or identify as gay, because I'm just being a kid. Now when kids do that, if you do that, now kids gonna identify these actions like, I might be trans.
Can I say something?
Sorry,
of course. What was you gonna say?
No. So, I think I can understand the bill in the sense of just keeping things to what the kids need to be taught. Mm-hmm. But my point of view also is there are kids that know from early on that they are different. Mm-hmm. As in to say that they identify themselves as a little girl, or they see themselves as something that is outside of what they're being presented as to the audience. You know what I mean? So I understand in the context of not having to teach that in school, but also if my child came up to me and said, hey, I identify as this person or that person or whatever within that category, then I would want to be able to get that information for them, not in school. It doesn't have to be in school. But I would want to have a way to get them the resources to understand who they are as they continue to grow. Of course. And I think the only problem I have with whatever the actual name of the bill is that it prohibits it from every, like, I don't know if it's just in school, but like it prohibits it in different conversations within the state of Florida, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not just in school that they're prohibiting it. So if as a person you want to get your kid resources to understand who they are, like, does that mean to say that you can't have books that are in that are specifically for kids to understand themselves and stuff like that?
Okay, so you're saying, but the only pushback or question I would say is, do you honestly think your kid at the age of kindergarten is going to identify with their sexuality or gender?
At least they shouldn't.
Like, they could be who that, like, again, my son could run around in a dress all he wants. I don't care. But do you think my son honestly is going to think because he wears a dress, he's like, I think I'm a girl? Like, you think he's going to identify with that thought?
Okay, so I have someone in my life who I've watched them grow up.
Right.
And from a very young age, I've known that they were different. They still haven't spoken to me about this,
right.
But from things that they've said to me, how they act, and things that I've caught them doing, and I could tell that they're a little bit scared of showing me who they are.
Right.
Like, I can definitely say, based off of that person, you know from an early on age what you want to be and how you, like, it may not be like I'm fully 100% sure that I identify or I sexualize this person and stuff like that. Right. But, like, you can tell. There's little signs that are there. So I don't want to say a child doesn't know. They may not fully understand it, but they have an idea.
No, I 100% agree with you, because I knew that I liked girls from when I was like 7. If I'm keeping it a buck.
And that's fine. But my thing is, what I feel like we're doing as, or okay, once this society gets, I'll speak for everybody, but within this conversation, what I feel like we're doing is we are casting a wide blanket or a wide net, right? With these laws or rules, not just the Florida thing, but just in general, we're casting a wide net because yes, there might you have personal experience with that, but there's also kids who are generally just confused. Of course. Now you also got to think of these kids who they're generally straight, or they generally don't, they think they're trans or not, and like when you give them this and like overload them with the information at an early age.
It's too much.
When they're legit learning other things, like important things like critical thinking, like all whatever, right? I feel like you're now including kids to do dangerous shit that they really
don't need to
truly deep inside didn't want to do or
I wouldn't categorize as dangerous. But
I'm saying dangerous in terms of, I just want to clarify. I'm saying dangerous in terms of when kids grow up. Like, for example, there is a book. I wish I remember names, but this is a book by this lady of like when kids grow up. You know the saying when kids transition, like they start taking hormone blockers and like changing genders. There's a countless reports of kids growing up. They do it before they're 18 and become adults, and it's like I regret it because now I realize I truly wasn't. I was just confused, or I just wanted to feel a part of whatever reason they did it. And that's what I'm saying is dangerous in that sense. Is we also got to account for the part where we let kids think that, hey, just because you feel this way or you wear a dress or whatever, you're this person and you need to become a boy or a girl or whatever. That's a part of it too. And I'm not dismissing these kids who are truly trans or truly gay, but it's like, bruh, again, you can't cast a wide net.
If we're going to bring it back to this, like what we have up here, I just don't think school is an appropriate place for them to have.
I feel like the information should be available. It doesn't have to be spoken about in school. And if the child itself wants to speak to the teacher aside,
or a guidance counselor or whatever,
and gets the information that way, that's fine. I totally understand it. I get the point behind the bill. I don't like the idea of people saying kids don't know earlier on who they are. Like, I totally believe that's not true. Yeah. I think you should give them some time
I feel like it's not majority. I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
There's few, of course.
But I feel like kids are more so misled or just confused before they generally know what they are. There are rare cases, but again, it goes back to what I'm saying is, just because there's a few doesn't mean we should cast the net for all.
Exactly.
Well, that's exactly the same thing I'm saying. But I just want to give the little caveat that I do think that some kids do know who they are when they, at least when the first interaction of what it needs to be like, who I like or who I identify. Like you can have a little spice.
Or little Timmy thinks Bobby's fine as fuck. Like, that's cool, yo. Bobby cool as hell. Like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I just said Bobby's. I just sound like a pedophile. I apologize. But y'all know my heart. But it's just like I think the part is because it's Florida. Because Florida is known to been like, during COVID, Florida's like, fuck the mask. Like fuck all
Florida
that shit.
Is, I don't know
Florida's
what the
just been
Florida.
That state. So I feel like people just automatically push back instead of really having like the conversation we're having. Instead of having that conversation, it's just like, oh, let's call it the don't say gay bill and push this fucking narrative. It's like, no, truly have these conversations, bro. It's like, and I'm sorry, I agree with the fucking bill.
So, you know what? Separate question. Where do you think would be an appropriate place to have this conversation?
Parents. It starts at that early. Parents? It starts with your parents.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Kids should be able to feel comfortable to speak with their parents about who they think they are. And then the parent's job is then to learn about what the kid is saying and then help them find ways to express themselves.
And I will acknowledge the fact that some households aren't ideal for kids. Right. So it's not like, it'd be nice to be able to go to your mom and dad and be like, hey, I really like doing this. Like, am I weird or whatever, right? Have that conversation. But again, I don't think the solution is having your teacher teach these things. Maybe pass a bill that encourages your school to have these conversations with parents. Cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, but not kids in kindergarten, man. Let them be fucking kids. Like, let them be kids, bro. Let them learn their shapes and colors and fucking whatever, the cooties and all that shit. Let them learn that shit, bro.
Weird ass statement, but this shouldn't even be a conversation.
It should be common, and that's my frustration with it.
In the sense of like, if a person wants to feel how they're feeling, just let them feel how they feel.
I think my only also thing is like for teasing, because you know when kids are mean, kids are very, very mean.
Shit.
So like, let's say for instance, like we have a scenario where they're in kindergarten, right? Everybody's like here having a fun time, and then either Billy or Anna, they come in dressed in the way that they want to represent themselves.
God damn it, Billy.
Or Anna.
Yeah.
So let's say Billy comes in with the dress and Anna comes in just full out like boys' clothes. Like, I feel like the only reason why that, like, talking about it as in a teacher is to be inclusive of Billy and Anna and how they want to, like, come to school that day.
Yeah.
Right.
And make sure kids don't, like, make fun of them for how they want to express themselves that day. I think that would be the only time where, like, I'm not a parent, but like, I feel like that would be the only time where I would be like, okay, you can talk about inclusion and saying it's okay for Billy or Anna to dress this way because that's how they want to dress this way. And you guys can come out however way you want the next day, how you want. If you want to dress like a spaceman, if you want to dress like an alien, like stuff like that, to be inclusive, because kids are very fucking mean. Like they're very fucking
Bill's character
mean.
though. I'm sorry. Like, some of us needed bullies, bro. That's all I'm gonna say. Some of y'all motherfuckers needed bullies.
Bro, do you know how many times I've been called a fat piece of shit growing
bro,
up,
it's like some of us, you know, when it gets physical, that's when I draw the line. But like, I'm sorry, words,
your
but
teeth
not
used to
really
argue with each other.
But I agree with what you said. But I agree with completely what you say is where it's just like, we can do that. It's just don't start using these terms, enforcing these terms. That's all I'm saying.
I think
that's all I'm saying.
Unless a conversation is had with that child, the child's parent, and you fully understand what the child is saying to you and what the parent is like speaking, things should be silently, but not silently, but like, you know what I mean? It should be like
behind the scenes or
with moderate. What is the word? Like moderation in small increments, so that you can understand what. Don't apply to the whole kids spectrum in class and stuff like that. Like, attack it one by one. Yeah. But for cases of like when whoever wants to come in the class, however they want to come in, make sure that the kids that you are teaching also understand inclusion. Right. And not making fun of someone for how they want to be.
Yeah. And it is possible to teach inclusion without saying like, oh, Billy's trans or Billy's gay or whatever. Like,
unless Billy wants to say I'm trans, I'm gay, like it's fine to just mention inclusion and openness.
I agree. I mean, you take it a step further in a hot take. I'm about to get flamed, but I don't think when it comes to like trans kids, like trans women, trans boys, I don't think you should be able to like legit get the surgery or transition until you're 18.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you have to be a legal adult to do that.
And you can feel like you're a boy / whatever side of it you're on. You can feel that way. It's just, I feel like that is an adult decision to make.
I agree.
I mean, ideally, I'll say 21, but I'm only being fair because 18 is the legal age to become an adult. Right?
And honestly, it gives them time too.
Like when I see these parents letting their high school's kids take hormone blockers or doing surgery, it's just like,
no,
okay,
it's dangerous, man.
I will say, because there are kids who know from the start that this is where they're at, right? Mm-hmm. And this is what they want to do. And that's a conversation with their parent. Right. But also you got to keep into context that the longer, I don't know the full processes. There's a lot of things that go on before you can transition fully. Mm-hmm. But especially for males that want to transition as females, it's a little bit harder because as they go through puberty, their voice deepens, certain characteristics develop more. So like it is a time sensitivity for them too, for how they transition, especially if they transition later in life, it's going to be harder for them to present themselves as female.
But it plays back to what Sandra was saying too.
What happens when you regret this shit? It's just not a button you
what
can
happens when you what?
I cut you off. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, like, what if it plays on to what he was saying? Like, they might have just been in the time and place in their life where they're like, I'm confused and I just want to make sure.
Well,
like, you don't want to regret it.
I'm telling you for someone who actually for certain knows. So what you're saying is for people who regret, but most people who go through these processes, they know who they are.
And I understand, but I'm going to put it this way, right? Would you much rather be 100% sure you're trans and do it at a later age, or do it earlier and can't go back?
Right.
If I knew from early on that I don't identify as a girl,
right,
then I would want to do the process to make me feel.
But again, it goes back to this topic of fairness we had last week. It's not fair, but we cannot. It goes back to what I'm saying. We cannot cast a wide net.
But I'm not. You're asking me if I knew,
right,
and I'm telling you if I knew, then I would want to make the procedures and take the steps when I can.
No, and I get what you're saying. You know, deep inside, you know. But if the law is you can't do it till you're 18, that's because you know you still can't do it till you're 18.
Well, there's not a law right now.
No, but I'm saying what I think the law should be. And that's where I'm in this conversation. It's like, just because you know, like, if you're 16, 15, whatever age, below 18, and you generally feel like, all right, I want to transition, this is who I am, cool. But if the law says you have to wait till 18, just because you feel that way doesn't mean you can,
18 for the surgery or 18 for all of the processes?
To be allowed to transition. Anything. Taking pills, hormone, like, whatever.
I think that's a little bit too much, because again,
whatever, and yes, you're right, there's nuance, but like whatever you can't reverse, I think you should wait till 18.
So then not all the processes.
Yes, to be fair, put it that way. Yeah, whatever you cannot reverse has to wait until you're an adult and you make an adult decision.
I mean, my perspective, I think that's a decision between the family, the child, and the doctors. I will never put like an overall law limiting someone on what they can do with themselves. I think the conversation needs to consistently be had with everybody that is taking part into this situation. I get what you're trying to say, but I don't like that casting of that whole thing, because then it you don't like talking about fairness, but it is a bit unfair that a person can't even like start the processes.
Life ain't fair, nigga. Sorry, that was random.
You're done with your drink. You're done with
I wasn't even listening to y'all.
Like, no more wine.
I wasn't even listening. I'm sorry.
Hey, I mean, at the end of the day, what the fuck do we know? We're not trans people. We're not gay people. So they're like, oh, we can have this conversation all the fuck we want. It's not gonna change shit. But
don't be upset with me, Freddie. I really wasn't listening to you. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, that's. I mean, I wish them all the best. But you know.
Did I fuck y'all conversation up?
I'm moving to Florida.
All right.
No, I'm playing. Florida, I come, baby. Fuck the mask.
Yo, I was watching this video the other day. Shit. There was this nigga that I probably sent it to you. There was this nigga dancing in the water with an alligator. Did I send it to you?
Did.
My cousin said the alligator is dead, but I don't believe him.
That nigga was wide awake, bro. Wide awake. But I mean, honestly, so do you know that
bachata, nigga.
It was a Spanish nigga. That's crazy. But did you know that as a like a small alligator, they're like harmless. You can like hold them in your hand.
Yeah, because they can't swallow you and shit.
Exactly.
No
so
shit.
Like, there's like people who have alligators and they like do like what do you call when they're trying to figure out if it's a boy or girl when you're about to have like the gender reveals.
For alligators?
Like, yeah, they like put the fucking bro.
Listen,
this shit's getting out of control.
Send the aliens, bro. I'm just ready. I'm fucking
at this
ready
point.
Like fuck it all, dog. Like what are we doing?
You just gotta go to Australia, bro. That's where they are. Apparently.
I'm like, are we coming?